to tee this whole thing up and set some context, Randy Tate, again, partner, dear friend, I'd say father, father figure to my son, has traveled all over the world, and we do this work together. And he is CEO and running one of the coolest fintech companies, and you're all going to get to know it and be a part of it. So Randy, let's take it away. Steve, move the next slide, and let's start with what we're here to do. Produce income.
Laurel. Yeah, and I'll preface all this, Laurel, with the fact that this community, this integrated wealth system community, love the name, but it's just phenomenal. And it boils down to making money, keeping money, investing money. Now I know we're focusing on making money here. That's the focus of the 2 days, but it's a system. And as we start to go through this and we start talking about income, assets, what are we doing? What does our wealth picture look like? I want everybody to just keep a few things in mind, that there is systems, there are processes, and there is sequencing with what we do. And so as you're listening, engaging, as you're going with your meeting with your strategist, as you're having these conversations over the next 2 days, make sure you're starting to paint the picture for yourself so you can understand how everything's interlocked. And it's important that you put it in action in order. You want to make sure you put it in action in order. That way it becomes much more seamless as you start on that track to being a millionaire, or if you're already a millionaire, a multimillionaire. And that is how it works. Now, we do know, though, that the content can vary a little bit. And the reason this is the very first slide is these are the main 2 things we're going to be talking about over the next couple of days, because income can come from proper use of assets. Absolutely, that's a viable way to make money. And if your money's not, Laurel's favorite term, you need to get off your lazy assets and get them to work. However, you may be here for income. So what we're going to do and what the challenge is going to be is for you to interact when we ask you to interact. So right now we're going to have our first test. If you're here and your primary focus, you only get to pick one, your primary focus is to learn techniques, processes, and how-tos around generating more income, write income in the chat. If you're just sitting on a giant pile of money of assets that you really want to put to work, and that's your number one focus, put assets. We all do both all the time, but we need to know what our focus is. And it looks like your marketing team did another brilliant job, Laurel, and everybody's putting income. So that's good work. That means you got the right people in the right room. And I want to make sure you guys all understand that if that's the case, remember, everybody you're talking to is here for the same thing. Interaction is critical. Interaction is absolutely critical. And in order to put the systems in place, it all starts with income. Because if you're not making any money, you have no money to keep. If you have no money to keep, you then have no money to invest. So avoid getting enamored with other stuff and focus on what you need to focus on. And as we go through this, and I'm just going to give you my last little blurb here and we'll dive into the deck, is just be very conscious of the little voice inside your head making Laurel or a coach or a strategist or even me wrong. So try not to be right. Just don't be right. Every time the little voice pops up and says, well, that's not how we do it, or that's not how they do it, or that's not how I've seen it done, or that's not. Replace that with, that's interesting. I wonder how they see it that way, and then seek to understand. If you can come from a place of curiosity, you will learn more in the next 2 days than you've probably ever learned in a 2-day workshop, specifically if your needs are around generating income. So I just want to take those few minutes and set the stage with that. I think it's real important. Super happy to be here. Like Laurel said, I'm a CEO of a very fast-growing fintech company, but I always do everything I can to take as much time off to come in and do these events, because this community has impacted my life greatly over the last dozen years.